There is a version of you that nobody has met yet. A version so disciplined, so silent, so mentally fortified, that the people who once knew you will look at you and feel something they cannot name, something between fear and respect. And the terrifying part? That version of you is not far away. It is buried underneath noise, distraction, and the habit of explaining yourself to people who were never paying attention. Most men are drowning in information but starving for transformation. They watch videos, take notes, read quotes, and wake up the same person every single morning. But the real reason they stay stuck is deeper than laziness. It is something psychological, something the ancient Stoics understood thousands of years ago that modern self-help has completely forgotten. Marcus Aurelius did not become the most powerful man in the Roman Empire by consuming more content. He became unrecognizable through ruthless daily practice, through the relentless refinement of the self in silence, in study, and in suffering. And here is what nobody tells you about that process. The transformation does not happen when you feel motivated. It happens in the moments when everything in you wants to stop, and you continue anyway. But what exactly must you study? What must you train? And why does silence, practiced correctly, become the most dangerous weapon a man can carry? What happens next changes everything. Stay with me. You are not here by accident. The kind of person who searches for this content, who sits with discomfort long enough to actually think, that is not average. That is the beginning of the silent warrior. While the masses chase likes noise, and the approval of people they secretly envy, you are here doing something different. You are beginning to architect your own psychology. The Stoics had a word for this kind of man, the sapiens, the wise one. Not wise because he had all the answers, but wise because he had stopped running from the questions. He had become the observer of his own mind, the disciplined sovereign of his own interior world. If you have ever felt like you were built for something deeper than what your current life reflects, this is your signal. This is where the dragon is forged. Subscribe to this channel if you are ready to become someone the old version of you would not recognize. There is a version of you that nobody has met yet. A version so disciplined, so silent, so mentally fortified, that the people who once knew you will look at you and feel something they cannot name, something between fear and respect. And the terrifying part? That version of you is not far away. It is buried underneath noise, distraction, and the habit of explaining yourself to people who were never paying attention. Most men are drowning in information but starving for transformation. They watch videos, take notes, read quotes, and wake up the same person every single morning. But the real reason they stay stuck is deeper than laziness. It is something psychological, something the ancient Stoics understood thousands of years ago that modern self-help has completely forgotten. Marcus Aurelius did not become the most powerful man in the Roman Empire by consuming more content. He became unrecognizable through ruthless daily practice, through the relentless refinement of the self in silence, in study, and in suffering. And here is what nobody tells you about that process. The transformation does not happen when you feel motivated. It happens in the moments when everything in you wants to stop, and you continue anyway. But what exactly must you study? What must you train? And why does silence, practiced correctly, become the most dangerous weapon a man can carry? What happens next changes everything. Stay with me. You are not here by accident. The kind of person who searches for this content, who sits with discomfort long enough to actually think, that is not average. That is the beginning of the silent warrior. While the masses chase likes noise, and the approval of people they secretly envy, you are here doing something different. You are beginning to architect your own psychology. The Stoics had a word for this kind of man, the sapiens, the wise one. Not wise because he had all the answers, but wise because he had stopped running from the questions. He had become the observer of his own mind, the disciplined sovereign of his own interior world. If you have ever felt like you were built for something deeper than what your current life reflects, this is your signal. This is where the dragon is forged. Subscribe to this channel if you are ready to become someone the old version of you would not recognize. Pillar 1. Study as identity, not as habit. Here is the emotional problem most men carry without naming it. They feel intellectually hollow. They are surrounded by people having the same surface-level conversations about money, women, and sports, and somewhere deep in the chest, there is a hunger that those conversations will never feed. That hunger is not arrogance. It is the call of a mind that was built for more. The brutal truth is this: if you are not studying deeply, consistently, and with intention, you are being intellectually colonized by whatever algorithm decides what your mind consumes next. Epictetus said it clearly: only the educated are free, not free from circumstance, free from mental slavery. The modern example is the man who spends 3 hours on his phone every night but claims he has no time to read. He is not lazy. He is captured. The actionable shift is simple but not easy. Replace 1 hour of consumption with 1 hour of deliberate study. Philosophy, psychology, history, strategy. Watch how your mind begins to operate on a different frequency. When you study with intent, you stop reacting to the world and start reading it. And that changes everything about how power moves around you. But the next pillar is where most men completely destroy their own potential without ever realizing it. Pillar 2. Train the body to command the mind. The emotional problem here is one that men rarely admit out loud. They feel soft. Not physically necessarily, but internally. They feel like their discipline collapses the moment life applies real pressure. And they are right, because a mind that has never been forced to operate through physical discomfort will break when psychological discomfort arrives. The brutal truth the Stoics understood is that the body and mind are not separate systems. Marcus Aurelius trained physically not because he was preparing for battle, but because he was preparing his will. The body is the laboratory where mental toughness is manufactured. When you choose to train when you do not want to, you are rehearsing the act of doing hard things. And that rehearsal transfers. The modern man who skips the gym because he is tired is practicing quitting. Every day, without knowing it. The actionable shift. Train with aggression, not aesthetics as the primary goal. Train to build a nervous system that does not flinch. Train to become a man whose baseline is discipline. But there is a third element, one far less visible than study or training, and almost nobody uses it correctly. Pillar 3. Silence as psychological warfare. Here is something most people have never been told. Silence is not passive. Practiced with intention, silence is one of the most aggressive psychological tools a disciplined man can deploy, both against the world and against his own chaos. The emotional problem is that most men are terrified of silence. They fill every moment with music, podcasts, conversations, and noise because silence forces them to confront what is actually living inside their mind. The brutal truth is that you cannot understand yourself in noise, and a man who does not understand himself will always be manipulated by those who do. Seneca wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as possible, not as escapism, but as reconnaissance." The man who knows his own psychology is ungovernable. The modern example: next time you feel the urge to reach for your phone, the moment you are alone, stop. Sit with the discomfort. In those 5 minutes of silence, your mind will show you exactly what it has been running from. And that awareness is power. Be honest, when was the last time you sat in complete silence with no distraction? Write silence in the comments if this hit differently. Pillar 4. Become the observer, not the reactor. The emotional problem. You are losing battles you do not even know you are fighting. Every time someone disrespects you, and you immediately respond with emotion. Every time an unexpected problem sends you into panic, you are surrendering the most important territory there is, your interior state. And the world can feel it. The brutal truth is that reactive men are predictable men, and predictable men are controllable men. The Stoics called this prohairesis, the faculty of rational choice, the one domain that can never be taken from you unless you give it away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The actionable shift is to build what modern psychology calls the observing ego, the part of you that watches your emotions instead of becoming them. Before you respond to anything that triggers you, pause, breathe, ask, is my reaction serving my vision, or is it just my ego bleeding? The next pillar changes the way people perceive your presence before you even speak. Pillar 5, purge the audience from your psychology. Here is the hidden poison that kills more potential than any external enemy: performing your life for an invisible audience. You are making decisions based on how they will look. You are sharing your goals before achieving them. You are explaining yourself to people who are not qualified to evaluate you. And every time you do this, you leak the energy that was meant to build something real. The brutal truth: public validation is private weakness in disguise. The Stoics were obsessed with the concept of living according to nature, meaning according to your rational purpose, not according to the applause or judgment of the crowd. Epictetus warned explicitly against seeking the approval of men as a source of worth. The modern man who posts his gym progress before he has built a body worth posting has already spent the discipline he needed to actually train. The actionable shift: go dark. Build in private. Let silence be your strategy and results be your announcement. And almost nobody notices this next pillar until it has already cost them everything. Pillar 6, master time or be devoured by it. The emotional problem is brutal and universal. The feeling that life is moving too fast and you are not becoming fast enough. Men in their 20s and 30s feel this most sharply: the gap between who they are and who they know they are capable of becoming. That gap is not a judgment. It is a compass. But only if you learn to read it correctly. The brutal truth Seneca delivered 2,000 years ago still cuts like a blade today. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. The tragedy is not death. The tragedy is arriving at death, having never fully lived as the man you were capable of being. The actionable shift: audit your day with the honesty of a man who knows he is mortal. Every hour of distraction is an hour of your life traded for nothing. Protect your time like territory. Schedule your study, your training, your silence, and treat those blocks as non-negotiable. Have you noticed how the men you most respect seem to have a different relationship with time entirely? Pillar 7, let your becoming be your silence. This pillar is perhaps the most misunderstood of all: the discipline of becoming without announcing it. The emotional problem is the need to be seen, to be recognized mid-transformation. It comes from a place of insecurity that most men never consciously acknowledge. They want witnesses to their struggle because the struggle feels more real with an audience. But this is psychological weakness wearing the costume of ambition. The brutal truth: the most dangerous man in any room is the one nobody saw coming. He did not document the process. He did not ask for accountability from people who were not building anything themselves. He simply went to work in silence, in study, in relentless daily practice, until the results became undeniable. The Stoic philosophy here is the concept of amor fati, love of fate, embracing the full process of transformation without needing it to be comfortable, public, or praised. The actionable shift: make your life your testimony. Let people be confused by your evolution. But none of these pillars fully activate until you understand what we are about to close with. You came here as one version of yourself. You will leave as the beginning of another, if you choose to take this seriously. Everything covered in this script is not motivation. Motivation is weather. It changes. What has been described here is architecture. The architecture of a mind that does not need favorable conditions to operate. A mind that has been trained, studied, and forged in silence until it becomes something the world has never seen before. The urgency is this: every single day that passes without intentional study, without physical training, without the practice of silence and self-mastery, is a day the weaker version of you is reinforced. And over weeks, months, years, that reinforcement becomes identity. Most men wake up at 40 and realize they became the default version of themselves, not the chosen one. Do not let that be your story. Marcus Aurelius said it, with the weight of a man who had ruled an empire and still wrestled with his own humanity every single morning. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The silent warrior does not wait for permission. He begins in the dark, in the discipline, alone and unafraid. Subscribe if you are becoming unrecognizable. Comment unrecognizable below if this awakens something in you. The right people will know what that means.